All right, I'm Sandy. This is Al. We're going to have another conversation between the pool people.
Interesting. This is just randomly new to me. I didn't know we were going to have another conversation, so you must have something to say.
We are. Okay.
Okay.
So, so while we're building pools, we spend a lot of time with our clients, their families, in their backyard. And we do a lot of like photos and video, like as we're working, the team does, all that good stuff. And then we also have Katie often go out and do specific interviews with people. And she visited with Nick and Kelly Ortel and their children. And, you know, I know a lot of our legendary owners find us because they're kind of looking online and then they find the photos, which they're able to see the work we do, but then they also are able to watch the videos of people, our other owners, homeowners, people that have hired us to build their adventures. And they often cite those as like, so they see the work, they know we can do it, but then they listen to others sharing their stories, and then they know for sure that these are the types of experiences that they want to have. And those interviews it's different than just like taking photos and video on the job. You know, it's like you sit down and you have this conversation, and they each go in such a unique direction. I've done the filming of some, and Katie, I really like when we're able to get Katie to do it too, because then when I get to watch it, like I don't know the questions they covered. You know, Katie will always ask, is there anything specific? And she knows where to take it. And I just got to watch Nick and Kelly Ortel's interviews. And
I don't sit in on those interviews. No. I'm uncomfortable doing that. I love and appreciate when people love and appreciate me and what I do, but I don't want to be in front of them so that they have to say those things. Yeah.
Well, and
so this is all new to me.
And they're able to talk really kind of candidly about the process and why they hire us. And each one, you know, everybody lives their life in their own certain way, and everybody has things that speak to them and values and things that are just like very important to them. And when Katie does these interviews, I love it because everybody in their own way expresses a different aspect of working with us, because we're the same people, but we're different based on who we're interacting with. And there's so many common threads, yet there's things that people focus on outside of it. That being said, we have a very specific trend in our videos. When our homeowners are talking about looking for us, it seems that there's a little bit of dislike of rectangles, which is really, really, I mean, it's funny. I could put together a compilation of people saying, you know,
I didn't want a
rectangle.
We
just didn't want a rectangle. We didn't want an ordinary rectangle. You know, we're looking for a pool, but like, there's not a rectangle. There's a lot of new rectangles, which works out well for us.
It's the trend in today's pool building is rectangles.
We don't really like building rectangles. We like building curves, and we don't like using a lot of tape measures. But looking through the award-winning pools,
I asked Frank the other day at the job, do you have one of those things that's got numbers on it and you pull it up and retracts? And he goes, oh, one of these thingies, and he threw me a tape measure.
Yeah, and well,
because I didn't want to say, can I borrow the tape measure?
Yeah.
I needed to make sure the space was just wide enough to fit the grill that's going into the bar. So I had to know, but I called it a thingy with the numbers on it that you pull out of the...
And Frank knows if he's using a tape measure on the job to tell the kids, if they're watching him, that don't tell Mr. L that he used a tape measure.
I mean, he's doing more of the wood construction part, so he needs to, so I can give him a little bit of... Yeah. Perhaps. But if he measures too many times, I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah, so there's a really good fit and synergy for us with people who don't enjoy rectangles. Mm-hmm. And the trend this last summer was
few years
very
is all
exciting that all of the award-winning pools in the publications are
rectilinear.
rectangles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We don't follow
we
trends.
have not
Clearly
and we've not
submitted our stuff.
we've not encouraged them looking at our pool. Our pools are like so in a sphere all of their own, and we don't need to compare ourselves to rectangles.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
Okay, so Nick and Kelly Ortel were wanting a pool, found our website, knew that we could do it, started the conversation with us, and had a couple of the yummiest comments in their interviews with Katie. It very much is a mutual choice. So people inquire about a pool with us and we start talking about it. You know, is the budget there? We always get that out of the way right at the beginning to make sure we're talking about the same scope of something. And then we very much look for certain characteristics, and everybody expresses it in their own way, so I don't know that I can tell you what it is specifically that we're looking for, other than the ability to explain, articulate, share kind of what they're hoping. And it was Kelly who said in her interview, you know, because I think Katie had said, well, how did you find Legendary and how did you choose them? And she said, you know, very much she was very glad that we chose them back because it very much is, yes, this is what we want and we really hope that we can work together with you. And she had a pretty profound moment of acknowledging that it's very, very mutual.
Cool. Yeah, they you were saying, how do we figure that out? As I think the best way that I could describe it is we look for style of life choices. Not lifestyle choices, but style of life choices. And
that comes through in the way people ask questions.
How they ask questions and how they talk about their family, and they talk about their experiences, and they talk about the choices and the decisions they've made.
It also comes through the tone of people's voices.
And the tone, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we just know that people that aren't going to fit with us. Yeah. And there's those that you just sort of melt together. And that's the thing is, like, I melted right to them. Yeah. Like, I'm like, these are just super cool people. So, I want to deliver to them something fantastic.
You know, it's all coming back to me now. My initial conversation with Nick Ortel. I hung up the phone after talking with him, and you know, do you kind of absorb somebody's energy through the phone when you're talking to them? I definitely do.
Yeah.
And I remember hanging up with him going, that's really cool. I really like him. We can work with him. And he very much reminded me of Paul Miner. And as you guys know, Paul and Erica Miner and the Miner family, you can watch some of their video. Just one of our all-time favorite, most epic families.
They set the standard. They set the standard.
So yeah, I talked to Nick and I heard like hints of Paul Miner in his conversation, and that was really cool. And we met, so you met with Ortels, and then we invited them to the mansion, coincidentally, on the same day that Savages had come out, so Labor Day 2019. Just really, really cool conversations, and it was really, I found something really funny kind of at our meeting. So we were further along in the process, I think, with Ortels, and they had the design and they had a couple of questions, and when they were here, they made sure to ask their questions, and like it didn't change anything with the project. And I just remember Nick saying, yep, we're good, let's do this. And Kelly like, yeah, let's go. And it was just such a profound decision, commitment made in such a natural, like we're good, we're ready when you are. Like that was like a pinnacle moment for me, just in how natural, easy, smooth it was.
You know what's really interesting between Nick and Steve is as I interacted with them independently, I know I came back many times and said, it's like talking to the same person almost.
Yeah.
They use the same phrases, they use the same, and here's what as you were speaking, here's what it comes down to. I got to thinking about Paul and Erica, and then I was thinking about the Savages, and I was thinking about Steve being giddy and being fun, and Nick is like a little kid in his enthusiasm. And he's a very professional, very profound, very put together guy, but he exudes this childlike wonder. That's the difference. Look at the customers in our lives. They have childlike wonder in the decisions they're making. They're not making decisions mentally, they're making decisions emotionally, but not as an emotional adult. They're making the decision as an emotional child. Because they're all like eyes wide open, full of life, full of, not the how-tos, not the very specifics and the details. They kind of realize when they start living there, they don't have to make those decisions. And when they want to ask a question, yes, have you thought about that? It's almost 100% of the time, I've already thought through it and it's part of the plan.
Right.
I mean, Nick would tell you that.
Yeah.
Every time he has a question about, got it, Nick. Oh, I was thinking about, already going to have one there. What about yep, we are going to do that too. But it's that childlike wonder, and it's an emotional decision, and that's what I think what you saw with Nick that day. It was like all of a sudden he was just like, why be an adult? Why make a decision like an adult? He just let's do this. Mm-hmm.
So they also have like young children. They have 3 kids, and little Molly is quite a handful. She is a robust bunch of energy. And I got to go out to that project and scope it out, and it is magnificent. It's the magnitude of it doesn't come through on pictures, and quite frankly, I'm surprised that they let you dig this mess in their backyard.
Perfectly
it's a
manicured
beautiful park-like setting, rural, and just really awesome. Anyway, so I pulled up at their house, and Kelly had been outside with a couple of the kids when I pulled up. And of course, like, I haven't been there before. She's met me and they've seen our videos and like they know who I am. But I pulled up, so there was a bit of a puzzled, and then, oh, okay, cool. And I got out of the car and I told Kelly as I walked over to her that I've been watching their interviews, and thank you. I just said thank you for being so awesome. Because like it's coming through in what they're saying about the project. Katie interviewed them kind of in the midst of it. Sometimes we do interviews at the beginning, sometimes at the end. This was kind of in the middle of the process, and like beautiful and magical. The way that they were able to talk about the process and working with us. And one of the things that I don't know if you'll find funny or not, Al, I kind of find it funny, is when Nick and Kelly were here, and Nick kind of in his, childlike wonder, exuberance, yep, okay, we're good, let's do this. Kelly had also, she very much agreed, but as she tells it now, like, she's used to being in charge of decisions, and she heard you saying, you're just gonna have to let me make these decisions, it'll be a smooth process if we do that. And she really wanted us to build her pool. So she said, yes, okay, great. But in her mind, she told me, she was thinking, yeah, right, buddy, no, this isn't gonna happen. And then she said at some point, and I don't know if she could pinpoint the moment, she just said, yeah, I get it now. And that was very out of character for her. So that's awesome.
What's really interesting is I think every one of our customers goes through that process. Every one of them are kind of control freaks in their lives, and every one of them finally let go.
Yeah.
And that's where we grow together.
Right.
That's that part that I talk
and
about
that's
intrinsically.
We get to invent the magic.
Yes, yeah, because when they let go and they can just now be, they don't, again, let's go to childlike wonder versus adult important decision making. If I can take that away from them and I can just let them play in the childlike wonder of it,
then we get to be.
We get to be and be that magic, but then they also can have the magic without the angst of decisions and angst of, What are they doing? Why are they doing? You know, because people get into that. Then they ask their friend, well, how did they do yours? Well, that's not being done right this way or that way. And they get lost in that mechanical part of the how-to of being an adult. And I don't want them to be an adult. This is for them to forever be a child. Is to play in the backyard wonderland, to have an experience, to love what they're doing, you know, love where they're at. And again, that's why we try to keep the magic there, why there's so many focal points and so many things of interest and so many delights that people would never expect to find is throughout all of it. Because that way they can stay in that world. They got to go out and live in the world and be an adult the rest of the time. My experience is for them is I don't want them to have to feel that way when they're there.
Right.
And eventually they succumb and they let go.
And it gets to the point where they don't even know what's happening. Although, as Lori Shaw would say, sometimes we don't even know what is happening until we invent it. Like the thing that I'm looking at right now that a day and a half ago we decided is going to become a
something
massive
awesome.
Element in one of these projects.
A massive surprise.
Yeah.
Element.
Well, a surprise to all of us. Yet it fits perfectly, which, you know, that's my life. I love being surprised and delighted by spontaneous things that come together as if by magic. And
it is magic.
Whether it's our relationships with our pool calling them clients, our pool family.
It is. It's just a family.
Whether it's that or somebody walking in here and having an aha, or hearing about these moments of wonder that other people get in their life. That is, you know, if I were to sum up like my life mantra, it's kind of show up and twinkle and witness those sparks.
You know what we do
in other people?
What seems the magical, a key of the magic around here and around what we do is we let people just really enjoy and experience the fullness of the simple things of life. We're not complicated people. I mean, we can have complicated, conversations, and we can be philosophers, and you and I can have deep intellectual conversations about things, but we're just kind of really the conduit for just simple living, feeling good and being happy and finding a way to enjoy the moment that is. And I think that's something that in our projects, we allow people to just enjoy the moment of what is, not what they have to do and what their part is and what their responsibility. They can just be. And for me, it takes time. And that's when I get the most anxious, is when things take too long, but it doesn't seem to affect them. It affects me because I have this timeline that I'm supposed to be performing to that makes no sense whatsoever. But once we get started, people always let that go. There's never an anxiousness for when are you finally going to be freaking done with this? Yeah. Because that's not how it is. Because there's magic continue, and then the longer we're there, the more magic happens. Yeah. Like the first bit we're there, we're doing cool things, which are big wow things for people. But the longer we stay in their yard, the cooler the stuff becomes, because we're putting our
emotionally invested. We all
big
become.
Time.
The more emotionally invested they become, and the more spectacular the project gets.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful part of allowing it to develop. Just like you're saying, you're creating in this room every day stuff that goes out there. We didn't know that existed before a need for it arose, and you developed it. And with magic like that, it can't help but be spectacular.
And sometimes, so the timeline that you completely make up in your head, and I understand it because so we are living lives and we are a business, and there's a need to grow and change and move forward and balance timelines and schedules and money, but that's all kind of in the background, just doing its thing when all this other stuff works out. But some of the stuff that is invented or becomes the massive showpiece on a project, it doesn't show itself until it's ready.
Right.
So nothing in this process can be rushed. Like if we just tried to rush and follow a blueprint plan and just stick stuff where it goes, it would feel like that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
But instead we let it develop. And sometimes the time frame and things, I'm just thinking about the glow and twinkle that I'm working on. Like it's all being invented from nothing. Like there's things around us that we can use to put it together, but until the idea is there, like the lighting, so I'd not done lighting before, and
I was always struggling to do the lighting, make the lighting.
I had not anticipated being a part of the Once Upon a Time project at all on the front side, and then the vignette boxes developed, and it's like I've been training for this all my life, I can handle that. And then you had the idea for the top hat lights, but it was pretty much an idea. And I had the idea and put them together,
Figure
and
how to fabricate them.
The most magical thing ever. And it's really surprising that it took this long for me to get into helping with the lights on the projects, because I've always tried to put light in
everything.
Anything. If you've been to the mansion, you've seen I have lights everywhere, out of every possible thing.
In every color and every...
And so you could say like, okay, it's time to do the lighting on this pool, and we could like try to just stick stuff together, but it very much takes its own time.
Yeah, I think in your cases, you didn't allow yourself to be a part of it. It was always there, but you were always...
Like
that wasn't your thing. You have other things, but that wasn't your thing until you realized it's exactly in my wheelhouse. This is exactly what I should be doing. And then you came to it when you were ready. And that was really good for me, because I was constantly struggling trying to put these together, because it was at the end of the day or whatever, my mind's not where it needed to be. And of course
it's not like a beginning of the project.
It isn't. It's not something you can think about till I got to think about the preparation through it, but you can't really do anything until you're at the end. And so that's been really good.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's part of that magic as well, is that we have to develop things as we go. And when we do, they become more magical. Here, good example. Of course, I jokingly say I blow every budget that we ever set for anything on our end. We don't charge a customer more, but I think of like Kelly and Nick. That was originally, the building was originally just a pergola with a fireplace. Well, if you notice the drawing, the fireplace is a pretty small corner thing. Well, then we get this opportunity. They go, no, we want to turn it into a kitchen. Well, the fireplace is massive, but it's going to be massively cool. Yeah. And
so we couldn't have pre-planned lighting to accent this
thing
small fireplace, and now it's like a fireplace. So
you're not kidding.
The lighting will
have to match. It has to match
of similar scope.
Oh, it will.
I'm getting goosebumps. It's so exciting. All right. Well, so Nick, Kelly, and everybody that we've mentioned.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
We love you guys.
We
get to be kids.
We get to do this.
We get to do
this because we have such great people, and we fall in love with them over and over and over. I just want to tell them I love them more and more every single time. And what a weird construction relationship that is. But no, you guys are amazing.
I
know. And one final story to wrap this up. Nick and Kelly came out one day, and I don't know if they'd watched something or what, but he goes, we didn't realize that you guys really are real selective in who you choose. Like, yeah, he goes, yeah, we didn't realize, we thought, you just got to say that. But he goes, so that led into this whole conversation. Must have. So then we went, we had a little deeper conversation about how important it is to us to pick the right people, and how important it is for us to make sure that they're the right people and they fit with us so that we can fit with them. But it was interesting because, he's heard us say it, but people, they say, any company might say, oh, we're really selective, but then follow through with that. Most companies will take any work because it's in front of them, and we're very different from that. And so it was kind of a cool conversation with him. So just thought I'd share that. Anyway,
Awesome.
we love you guys.
On that note.
Yep.